big agencies are grown organically through social media. However, I would say a majority of people, when they first come on, are hesitant to share what we're doing, on social media. Can you talk about that? Because I think I've heard that you struggled with that at the beginning and you overcame it.
Well, yeah, just like most people, it's weird because everyone wants to be a self-proclaimed entrepreneur now, and everyone's a business owner, and everyone's got to pitch their 2 cents to the world on you should be doing this, and here's the 9 laws of what. I mean, it's just crazy. It's everywhere. So for me, being brand new and just starting to learn a skill set, dude, I didn't want to post this stuff. First of all, it was going to be weird for my family. I knew my friends were going to say something, and that was the big one. I was like, they don't know what I'm doing, and I know what it looks like, and they're just going to have some stuff to say. I didn't want to deal with it. How I got over that was actually we were in a meeting and somebody asked Sean a similar question. And he was like, it's crazy that you would come here to either sell and build something that can change generations in your family. And you're so worried about someone thinking that it's not real or saying, well, he got lucky, or just, straight up smack talking, that you're not willing to share it with somebody else who could come here and change their life forever. He's like, what a selfish way to operate the rest of your life. And I was like, well, I don't want to be selfish. I'll share everything. You just tell me what to share and I'll share it. Because I was like, if I'm going to get judged, I would prefer it's not from the owner of the company.
Right.
I'll take the judgment from people that I, grew up with, or people from college, or whoever had whatever. And they may not have been saying anything, but in my mind, I was like, dude, everyone's going to say, they're going to be like, oh, Easton, he's the dumbest kid in our class. Why is he spouting off about business stuff? I just didn't want to deal with it. Accidentally hiring Jake Conan was what really shifted a lot for me, because I had been sharing stuff like on and off through social media for probably like 6 or 7 months. And I went to college with Jake, and we started kind of going back and forth. I was like, dude, listen, I know what you're doing now. I know what you're getting paid, and I know how hard of a worker you are. I actually wasn't recruiting Jake initially. I was trying to get his buddy that I was really good friends with in college, that they played football together. Okay. But I had all the classes with this Sean dude. I was like, I don't want to hire you, Jake. I was hoping to hire Sean, but he doesn't want to work here. So, he's kind of doing his own thing. But then Jake comes on and he just blows the entire thing up. Like, just starts murdering it, 60, 70, 80 families his first 3 months here, because he'd already had the skills, he had the insurance, he just needed the platform. So I got to watch everything change for Jake on a day-to-day and month-to-month, financial situation. And so that for me was like, if I hadn't shared that one thing, it's the same reason Zeb Foster's here. This guy is helping 90 families a month, and he saw something and he reached out and then he came on board. Dude, I've got 50 examples of people that were close to me that I would never have said, this guy's going to come and do it. That I shared something out of fear because I didn't want to be the guy not doing it.
Right.
Because I didn't want to be selfish. And watching it change somebody else's life that you have a good relationship with, or that you've known personally or for a long time, dude, that's what changed it for me. So I was like, I want to share everything with everybody. Hopefully it's annoying, because that means they're paying attention. If they have something to say or they want to reach out, dude, I'm an open book. I'll tell you, good, bad, or indifferent. This is exactly my experience, right. Which is why I tell everybody that I'm debatably the worst selling agent in company history when I started. I think that part's important, because I don't want to give people a false sense of what it can be without work. But that's how that conversation changed for me is, I didn't want to be the selfish guy and had maybe long-term, you don't see something that I put out, and now I don't have you on my team. Like, I wouldn't want to lose you to somebody else's team, because I was like, well, the guy at, that I was in band with in high school, he just said I was dumb. So I didn't want to share it. What a bizarre reason to not present an opportunity to somebody else. So that's kind of where it changed.
Well, and they were wrong, dude. That guy in band was definitely wrong. You're not dumb. No, but I think, and something, because I think everybody has that fear of being judged, and for me, it takes me back to high school, because a lot of the people that I was worried about when I was posting is like, oh, what is this kid from high school who I haven't talked to for years? What are they gonna think? When in reality, it's people, we're all the same. We're all kind of boring. Everybody's kind of boring. We all hang out with we all kind of like the same stuff. Good food, hang out with friends. Every client I ask, oh, any plans for the weekend? They all say the same stuff. Nope, just hanging out, off work.
Just hanging out.
So people do want to see, we're naturally we do want to see what other people are doing. We're nosy like that. And so I think one thing that I've tried to implement is not try to put out content, create content necessarily, but just document what I'm doing. And that stuck out to me over the Christmas. I was in Oregon with my wife's family, and we had lunch or sushi, brunch, midday, whatever, sushi with two of her friends, and they had commented about like how like Ty's always working out or Ty's always at the gym, because like that's what we'll share. Like if we're at the gym downstairs, that gets posted, that gets shared. So that's all of a sudden their perception, and they think like, oh, that's cool. Like you're like motivated to like work out, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but at the same time, it's like it puts me on their radar. Like, oh, Ty's doing something, right? Like Ty's out there doing something. I don't know what it is, but he's a guy that's out there always doing something. Like I'm interested, and so I think if we do that, if we document instead of just create, like this is what we're doing, this is what I'm eating for lunch. Like it's just we stay on the top of people's minds. It doesn't have to be this big old production that we're putting out content and it's all formal and stuff. It's like, no, this is just what I'm doing, and the people that are right time, right place are interested and are a good fit, they'll just reach out and say, hey, I think I know you do this. I've been seeing your stuff. Maybe that's 3, 6, 12 months later, but eventually those right people will say, hey, I'm actually in a tight spot. Can I ask you how I can get involved? And I think that's how Zeb got involved, right? He like kind of knew, kind of what you were doing. Maybe wasn't in the best spot at the time or wanted to change, and it was just right time, right place.
Well, and that's it's funny because it could be 3 months, or I had a dude reach out to me 2 weeks ago that I talked to for the first time 3 years ago.
Wow.
So it's been 3 years, and I haven't even been here 4 years yet. So I was like pretty new, and had reached out like, hey, I'm not exactly sure what you're up to. Connected briefly, wasn't good timing then, and now he's like, dude, in class, license, getting ready to get up and running, and dude, that's 3 years.
Wow.
And you never know what anybody's going to do, but you don't ever want to count anybody out or not give them an opportunity because you feel a certain way, because now you're the one that's judging. Well, I know that they're interested in it, but I don't know if they're going to do it. Like, dude, there's 900 people that work here that everyone's like, maybe they can't do it, that are crushing it.
Right.
Just because it's not, this specific industry does not discriminate, because it's a leads-based sales company, quote unquote sales, order taking, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But anybody can learn how to care about people and dude, it's not hard to teach someone how to be compassionate about somebody else. So not sharing is only hindering your ability to grow a business, and maybe you'll be like me and you'll accidentally find someone that completely changes the trajectory of your business that you can be really good business partners with by sharing one thing. Maybe it's 100 things over a couple of months. Maybe it's the one thing that they're like, that makes sense to me. I'm calling Ty tomorrow because I know him, and if Ty Cook can do it, I'll be just fine. That's who I'm always looking for, is like, hey, if this guy figured it out, I'm going to be just fine. I just got to get my license.
Right. Okay, so could you give like, someone who's doing this, hasn't posted anything on social media, give them like 2 things that they could implement like right away to just start create, some sort of presence on social media?
I think the biggest fear that people have is, I'm not there yet, so I don't want to share anything about it. What do you think I did? I was horrible. I was only sharing what Zach was doing and what good people within our entire like agent force Southeast. I was only resharing what good people in the success stories that others were having, because I was not there yet to share mine. So if you're brand new and like, hey, I'm uncomfortable sharing because I haven't figured it out yet, you don't have to have it figured out. Mike Killamet talks about this. He's got one of the biggest organizations in the whole company. And he was very clear. He's like, I was never the top seller in our group, not one time. Not for a month, not for a day, not for a week, literally never. Wow. And he's got the second biggest organization within the company because, dude, he just told everybody about it. He's like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This guy's killing it. This guy's selling all this stuff. And he just shared other people's success stories, but he shared it with everybody, dude. His whole like warm market and his entire like family and their family and their family, they're all here, because he shared. So I think that that's the easiest thing to start with. And then the second thing would be share what you enjoy. Like, listen, if you're not good at the job, quote unquote, yet, but you like coming in the office and spending time around, Ty and Hayden and Zach and Wiley, like, I just like to be around these guys. So that's what I'm going to share for now. Hey, I've got this new, gig where I'm selling with these guys that are a bunch of fun. We work out together, we eat lunch together, we train together, we dial together, but you're in this really fun environment. If that's what you enjoy about the job, then share it. For me, it was traveling. Dude, I traveled 63 days I was home in 2021. So which means the other 302 days I was not in Colorado. So I shared that stuff every weekend, because every weekend I was on a travel trip for the entire year. Like, I was never home. I liked the travel part of it, though. I got to see parts of the country I would never go to. Like, I would never go to that corner of Pennsylvania under any circumstance in my life by myself, but it allowed me to go see that area. So I started sharing that stuff. Dude, I'm in Ohio, Indiana, PA, both of the Dakotas. I get to go up to run in Montana to see my family and do this job. Like, I love that part of it, so I started sharing that. And they're like, hey, what are you traveling all the time for? I just sell insurance. They're like, really? You're doing all this stuff all over the place? Why are you traveling so much to do that? I'd be like, because I like to travel, and this job allows me to travel and do my job simultaneously.
Right. Yeah, and I think to kind of wrap up on this, I think, what that does when you just share what you like is it puts yourself out there so people, you're top of mind. That's number one. That's important. You want to be on people's mind. But two, it's like you're just putting it out there, and you're not necessarily saying, like, come work for me. Like, if you're doing anything else, it sucks. Like, you're just putting it out there that what you're doing, like, if I didn't know you or I knew you from high school and just saw that you're traveling everywhere, like, my impression would be like, wow, this Easton guy is doing something. And I was just at, like, a normal 9 to 5. I'm like, wow, his life seems a lot cooler than mine. And when the time came, I would reach out and be like, dude, like, why do you get to travel so much? Like, can I have that job? Or like, oh, they actually like the people that they work with. I don't. Like, let me reach out. So I think it just puts out, if you can just put out stuff that's positive, gives off good energy so that people just have that thought of you. When the time comes, they'll reach out and maybe work with us.
Yeah, dude, couldn't agree more.